Good afternoon and welcome to GrainTV. It's January 11th, 2013. To my left is Logan Burgess and I'm Brock Shimbino. We got the USDA crop production and supply and demand reports. Logan, how do we end up in Chicago?
Yeah, Brock, well, we take a look at Fire Tip here. We see March corn trading up 10 3/4 on the day. Soybeans ending the day down 4 1/4, and we saw Chicago wheat picking up 13 cents in today's action. If we hop over here to a 5-minute chart of the March corn contract, you can see here that we had exceptional volatility right around the open. This is actually the first January report in a long time that we had the markets open for when the report was released. And you can see here we kind of drifted lower into the report time. Here's the report, obviously very bullish for corn. We're going to get to that here in a second. But you can see we kind of snapped back a bit, trended higher, and then as you saw, kind of cupped over as we ended the day here, ending the day up 10 3/4. Obviously, Brock, a lot of people are looking closely at the ending stocks number. Can you kind of give us a rundown of what the corn numbers were today?
Yeah, we had a couple of revisions to the production side of things. We had harvested acres moved lower by about 346,000 acres. Industry was kind of looking for about 700,000 acres to be revised lower there, so we came in a little bit above what the industry was expecting on harvested acres. Yield was actually revised higher as well by 1.1 bushels per acre to 123.4. So that gave us a net change of 55 million bushels acre on the production side. Where we did see some revisions on the demand side was on the feed and residual use as well as the exports. We got a 300 million bushel increase to feed use. That was kind of a surprise for the industry. Exports, we moved lower by 200 million bushels, which was also a lot bigger than most people anticipated. Right. On net, what we ended up with is ending stocks changing, going lower by 45 million bushels. So that's really what sent the market higher as the reports were released.
Yeah, Brock, ever since we printed the highs in the summer here, corn's been kind of drifting lower. What's kind of your outlook on this corn market? Is this a game changer, the numbers we saw today, or I guess what are you looking for coming down the pipe?
I don't think it changes a whole lot out there right now. That feed number was pretty surprising to most people out there. Export number was a little bit larger than what was anticipated, so that's something we're going to have to continue to watch. If we continue to see these abysmal sales and exports, we could see further revisions in subsequent supply and demand reports. So exports is what I'm going to be watching, and then ethanol is another area I'm going to continue to watch.
Yeah, right.
We continue to run behind there. We didn't see any revisions in this report, so I would anticipate some revisions in reports down the road if we continue to run at a slow pace.
Certainly, Brock. If we take a look here, let's take a look at soybeans, what we saw there on the balance sheet. As you can see here, we had harvested acreage and yield both revised higher in today's report. On net, 44 million bushels added to production here in the report. Crushings were once again raised 35 million bushels here in the January report. We saw 10 million bushels added to that in the December report. So clearly the crush sector remains very strong right now. We did pick up 4 million bushels as far as usage going for residual use here. And on net here, ending stocks are raised 5 million bushels here. If we take a look at the average trade guesses, the average trade estimate was for ending stocks to be raised about 3 million bushels. So certainly a slightly bearish report today, but barely beating trade expectations in terms of ending stocks here. And I think that kind of the strength of soybeans was shown into the close here, only ending the day down 4.5 or so cents on the March contract.
It looks like we did get a couple revisions to the demand side. Yep. Something I really think that was missing out of this report, though, is revisions of the export market.
Yeah, Brock, we have seen an exceptionally strong export sales pace here. I think in recent weeks we have had the Chinese canceling sales, but just yesterday we saw some strong sales out of them, and they even snuck in a sale here this morning before the report. That didn't catch a lot of news this morning, but certainly on a report day it's not going to. But I think in general, soybeans still remain very strong in terms of export sales. We didn't see a revision there, just like you were saying. Out of today's report, I think that's something that could be coming down the line here still for soybeans. But as you said with corn, Brock, we're going to have to keep an eye on export sales week in and week out here as we move toward the marketing year. One other thing to keep an eye on is South American production. I know today we saw Brazilian production raised, Argentinian production it was actually lowered, but on net the USDA added 1 million metric tons to projected Brazilian exports, took one away from Argentina, so on net looking at South America, no change there.
Let's not forget about wheat either. We really saw a pretty good rally in wheat. We moved off some pretty low levels that we haven't seen really since last June. We were oversold on the charts for the wheat contracts, and we saw ending stocks revised lower by about 38 million bushels, most of that going to higher feed use. So that's something we'll have to keep attention to, as well as we see wheat really pick up from the bottoms that we saw over the last couple sessions or so.
Yeah, certainly, Brock. Well, a very volatile trade here at times, but we certainly did kind of move move back to relatively small changes in terms of price comparing this report to January WASDEs in the past year. So obviously this is kind of a game changer for the grain market here. I think in terms of soybeans, it's really important to look at the long-term trend. You know, you and I were talking about it today. We did test that in today's action. We weren't able to close below it. So we had corn and wheat both moving higher. Beans did close lower on the day, but I think it's important to watch beans. If it starts looking more bearish here, it might be time to get some price protection put on unpriced bushels there for beans moving toward this big South American crop. But, you know, Brock, I think that kind of wraps up the fundamentals that we saw today. We certainly got a lot of reports out today for the grain market. If you have any questions about what we've kind of talked about here today, you can always give us a call at the office, 877-472-4607. Or if you want to get some live quotes, you can go over to grainhedge.com and take a demo of our trading platform and take a look for yourself. But I think that wraps up our show here for the big WASDE report day. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.